Well, good afternoon or good evening if you're in the USA, and if you're in Europe, it's either late at night or Pacific Rim. It's already Saturday morning over there. I am Bruce, aka the guy in the blue shirt, or Mr. Simpler, Faster, Better. And I want to do a quick shout out to Power Knot today. Power Knot are actually helping to reduce the methane in landfills, and they have some food digesters that actually chew up the waste food that we've been putting into the trash, and that in that way they reduce the methane gas. So anyway, so a little shout out to them, and even bigger shout out to Lacey. All right, over to you, Lacey. Where are you from today?
Jacy with the J. Okay. It happens all the time. I am in the Midwestern United States. I'm hanging out by the Great Lakes, having a nice hot, sticky day today outside, hot and humid, but I am enjoying my air conditioning inside.
Yeah, well, I'm in Tempe, Arizona, and it's been 112-ish today, and I was moving some supplies into my new rental. So if the backdrop looks different than normal, it's because I'm in a different location. So the lighting's not the same. I haven't quite figured everything out. And Jacy, you were so supportive and flexible while I tried to, get everything hooked up as I normally do. But anyway, we're still here and meeting our commitment to have our conversation about all sorts of things intelligence-based, right?
Hey, Kenneth, thanks for the comment. Savor the flavor of the awesomeness. I love it.
That's Mr. Kenny. Hi, Kenny. He's, I think Kenny's been on my last, I've lost count of how many lives he's been on. So he's over there. I think he's north of Houston from memory. So he always helps me a bunch anyway. So.
Well, thanks for joining us tonight, Kenny. And going back to what you were saying, Bruce, when you're like, things are changing, you're in transition, but we're still here doing what we're doing. That's how life works, and that's how it rolls. And that's part of what I wanted to talk about tonight, is just how to be adaptable and flexible, and how we experience and navigate challenges, because it's different for everyone. And resilience is a skill set. Some people think I'm either resilient or I'm not, but that's not it. It's a skill set of things that we can develop. Some things we're better at, some we're worse at, but we can learn it. And that's what people really need to know.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I've had a few tests in my resilience, particularly in the last 3 or 4 weeks of live. Last Friday, actually, anyway, it's a long story, but I had to start the live in an Uber. So that was fun.
Oh, fun. A new adventure.
Yes, and that was my 100th live last Friday, which I celebrated with the people that really got me going and intrigued about LinkedIn Live. So they were all on with me, and we had some fun. And yeah, I got out of the Uber. The guy dropped me off. I wasn't sure if I was in the right place, so I finished the live. Talk about being tenacious in somebody's backyard, and it was the right place. So. They all threatened to call the cops on me and have me arrested just for fun live, on LinkedIn. So that would have been a first for sure.
Well, and I have to say, as far as LinkedIn Live goes, you're the one that inspired me to start doing LinkedIn Lives. I did my first broadcast a couple weeks ago. So thanks for just being in the community of LinkedIn Live, for making this platform more accessible for people, and for really helping supporting other people that want to use it too, not just sharing knowledge and conversations with you, but helping other people start their own conversations. That's so appreciated about you, Bruce. You're so generous in spirit and energy and time.
Well, thank you. So there's a route to that, and the route goes all the way back to where am I? I've lost count of my years, but in 1994, I moved to the US, and I moved to St. Louis. And then in the early mid-2000s, I moved to Dallas in Texas, which is where, Kenny's from the state of Texas.
Sugarland, Texas, he let us know.
Sugarland. Oh, yeah, I love Sugarland. Been there a long time ago, Kenny. So I can't remember exactly where I went, but I know it's a beautiful part of Texas. So I remember sitting in a coffee shop somewhere in Sugarland, having a wonderful cup of coffee one morning. So that was all good stuff. Yeah, so back to the state of Texas, and particularly Dallas. Their mantra there is, it's all about, in the business community, you have to give before you get, and not expect anything. So I was taught by some of the really good networking professionals in the Dallas community that, you know, it's about, you know, service and trying to help people to be successful. And the more people you help, indirectly, that helps you. You know, it's a long game. It's not a short-term thing. And it takes an investment. You know, that's why I joke with people, you know, people don't realize it's called networking because it's actually, you know, netting things together, and it's a lot of work. You know, if you do it correctly, and done correctly, it's a lot of work. So same with live shows. You know, it's a different form of networking, but still significant in terms of building those relationships and partnerships with people down the road. So.
Well, and that actually feeds directly into the whole positive intelligence and resilience conversation that we're going to be having today.
Right.
Just real quick, are you hearing an echo, or is that just on my end?
It could be. Let me turn the gain down a little bit. It sounds okay.
Okay, great. If it sounds okay, then I'm good with it. Yeah. So you were talking about how you have to give before you get. And yeah, post there, right? Give before you get. So all of that speaks to the values, to passion and purpose, to what's important to us. When you live your values, when you contribute to a community, when you contribute positivity to the world, then that's what helps you to have that positivity to fall back on when things start getting stressful.
Yeah.
So this positive intelligence framework, to be clear, it is not my framework. I didn't make it. Positive intelligence was developed by a man named 𝑑𝒐𝒔𝒊𝒕𝒊𝒗𝒆. He is an international executive coach. He's been the CEO of the Coaches Training Institute, which is where I got certified as a coach. Right. And he and his team did research with over 500,000 people around the globe and compiled research that includes work with neuroscience, cognitive psychology, behavioral psychology, and performance science to figure out how we can. Oh, the LinkedIn user is Mac, by the way. He just came in as user. And hey, Mac, hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Mac is great. And just coming in quick. So Mac, wonderful person. I just talked to her earlier. She's a friend of Bruce. If anyone wants to make a connection with someone who's wonderful, who's great to know, and contributing something good to the world, hit her up too.
Yeah.
Makeda?
Makeda Andrews. She goes by Mac. Yeah. So I'm not into names today, clearly.
And I knew I was going to flip that one. I was like, whatever I say, it's not going to be the right one.
That's right. She doesn't mind as long as it's not bad language. She's okay based on what I remember. So she's good. She's a good lady.
So this positive intelligence framework looks at the science of how we experience challenge, how we unintentionally self-sabotage, how we can recognize that self-sabotage, and what tools will help us move through it. And one of the big tools of positive intelligence, they call it Navigate. It's passion and purpose. It's core values. So Bruce, you have big core values for community, for contribution, for raising others up, as well as seeing your own success, for positivity, for future and optimism. And when you live those values, you are creating a mindset that other people will engage with as well. You're creating this positivity that's flowing out from you too. I love how you do that.
Well, I'd actually, thank you. I'd never had somebody kind of put that in a nice little package and put a bow around it. It's so thank you for that. It's yeah, there's no greater, I guess, reward for me, particularly helping up and coming leaders. So Mac is a great example. When I can help her to, communicate and share all of the amazing things that she's done. And she's one of, many, many people in the last year that have been LinkedIn Live guests or that I've spoken to offline or met offline. And ideally, I meet in person. And yeah, there's absolutely the best feeling in the world when you can make that connection, and you can mutually support each other with what you're good at, because not everybody's good at everything, as we were talking offline. You know, Gracie Ruth Melendez, who's just hopped on, she helps me visualizing my message. I mean, I'm pretty okay about the messaging, but I suck at making it visual. So whereas Gracie's really good at taking the messaging that I write and visualizing it for me with her creative skills with slider decks and pictures. And so together we work it out, and we work well. And that's what I actually love. You know, I've got a lot of, 46 years worth of experience in process improvement. So being able to pass along some of that as kind of almost like a legacy. I know people talk about legacy and it's a little woo-woo. I understand that, but I have a lot of knowledge that I try and pass along, particularly to up-and-coming leaders or people that, you know, are stuck in what they're doing, or they might be frustrated in what they're doing. Very often I can show them or guide them in a different way, and that's how you learn that emotional, you know, that professional intelligence that you talked about. So
right. And what you actually mentioned there, so taking a quick step back, when you said, hey, thank you, no one's really kind of packaged what I do that way and said it to me before. That is actually one skill that I love teaching people, is reflecting to others what we see in them, to
right.
reflecting, helping them see them the way that we see them. So we don't see ourselves the same way other people do. We live our own lives. I like to say that we're fish and we're swimming in water and we're so close to it we don't even see it. We need someone else to come around from the outside and be, hey, did you know your water is blue, or your water is green, or you're actually swimming in peanut butter? Maybe water would be easier if you've ever thought of it.
Right.
The story that I love sharing around that is I have lived with mental health challenges for a lot of my life. And so I've had counselors for a long time. And I was seeing my favorite counselor once. And I told him, I came in one day and I was like, dude, Dr. Fish, I literally think that I'm a crazy person. And he's like, you're not crazy, Jacy. I've been seeing you for years. You have work that you do. But I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, I hear songs on the radio and I get super, like, I start crying. I cry when I'm listening to commercials. I have these really huge mood swings. Like, I just feel out of control. And he said, Jacy, you're not crazy. You're sensitive. You're emotionally sensitive, and you're very emotionally, like, you have strong emotional reactions. And I was like, oh, so that's a thing? Like, that's okay? People just have strong reactions? And he's like, yes, it's okay. So we talked about it, feeling a little better. But here's the thing, Bruce. When that session was done, I went and called one of my best friends who I'd known for over half my life. And I was like, dude, Tabby, wait, sorry, it was a cell phone. Like, Tabby, I was just talking to my counselor, and he told me that I'm sensitive. Am I sensitive? And she's like, oh, yeah, you're super sensitive.
We have that in common.
and here's the thing. I was like, well, how long have I been sensitive? And she said, forever. And I literally yelled at her, poor thing, on the phone. I was like, were you ever going to tell me that? The final key, she said, I thought you knew. It was so obvious to everyone else. Everyone saw it, but I never did because I lived it every day. So one of the ways that we can support other people, that we can leverage this positive intelligence framework, is by making sure that other people see how amazing they are, that we reflect their glory back at them, that we tell them when we see them living their values, and that we appreciate what they do. Because we think everyone knows how awesome they are. They don't. Everyone just goes through the day thinking, like, yeah, I'm okay. And they're not. They're awesome. They're actually freaking awesome.
Yeah, I know. It's funny, in a reflective way, I've been able to help people that I call bright eyes. That's just my description, because when they come alive, when they're in their zone, and when they're really doing their absolute best work, you know, their eyes literally sparkle and twinkle. And that's so my term for that is, you know, if you can get somebody that's just kind of opaque looking, you know, in their eyes, if you can get them fired up and understanding how to use their talents so that their eyes become bright and sparkly. I mean, you know, it really emanates a very positive thing for everybody around them. And more importantly, the individual gets supercharged up and it really helps them. So, so I always, when I'm working cross-functional teams, I always look for the unseen or the overridden bright eyes in the group. And then I will actually make a beeline for them and ask them a lot of questions and get them engaging in a lot of things, because often they have all the answers to the solution that you're looking for, and for some reason they've been overlooked or passed by or both. And it's amazing what can happen to those individuals. They can go from being, you know, in the shadows, you know, not seen as really influential, to becoming leadership significant and highly influential when they spark up, you know, get their bright eyes going. So.
Yeah, and another way that I love leveraging that same kind of approach, that recognition of strength and of talents and of what makes people alive, like their passions and purpose. And
Right.
this is a positive intelligence, or PQ as they call it. One of the PQ concepts is we all unintentionally self-sabotage sometimes through perfectionism, being controlling, people pleasing, hyperachieving. There's so many ways that we do it. When we are unintentionally self-sabotaging, it's an over manifestation of our biggest strengths.
Right.
So if you think of someone who's a people pleaser, they never say no to anything. They have huge strength for compassion. They have a huge capacity for love. They have huge values of service. And when those values get overused, we get burned out in those areas. And being able to talk to someone who can tell that they're stuck in a people-pleasing phase. They're like, I've worked with so many coaching clients that are like, I know I'm overworking. I can't say no to anyone. I hate it, but I don't know what to do. Pointing out to them that one of the reasons they get stuck there is because they are so skilled at empathy and love and service, because they're so good at it. Right. Actually helps empower them to start taking control of it again. Like, oh my gosh, I thought that I'm just running myself ragged, but it's actually, this is a skill I can choose to use or not. It's something I'm naturally so good at. So I can choose to maybe ramp it down a little, or find another skill to balance it out, to use in addition to, so I'm not just overusing this one. So knowledge of values not only makes people feel good, but it empowers them to make decisions about how they're going to engage with others in a way that's constructive for them as well as everyone else.
Right. And there's a twist to that as well. And people that know me know that something I'm kind of very passionate about is to always make sure you become the product of your own product, or the product to your own process. Because if you can't do that, you can't be, number one, genuine. Number two, it's kind of a little, I guess, two-faced to try and guide and lead somebody in one way if you're not willing to do the same stuff yourself. And yeah, the people pleaser will often get caught in that catch-22, because they want to do all that. They are the product of the product, but inevitably they run out of gas in their gas tank. So, you know, it's tough. Yeah. But the other items you mentioned, I've been there, done that. I'm a recovering perfectionist, so had a team beat me up pretty good on that for a while, until I eased to back off, you know, or I chose to back off a little bit, and then other people helped me with that as well. That, you know, you only have to be 51% right to move forwards, and you only need to be about 60% right to be world class. So that's it's not a lot of range, but it can have a significant amount of over processing that you don't really need to do. So and that in itself is a waste. So I'm all about trying to be conscious of what I waste and what I don't waste, and you know, working on preventing issues before they become issues. So
great. Well, and it's that being willing to be self-reflective, to do that introspection, and then apply that knowledge as well.
Right.
The PQ approach to perfectionism is do the Pareto rule, that whole 80-20.
Right.
So 80% of things, you can do that 50, 60%, you'll be fine. You can do good, and good is good enough. The
Yeah.
saying I love is 80% out the door is better than 100% in the drawer, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And there are 20% of things where it really does need to be most excellent quality. If I am submitting a proposal for a big job, I want that to be perfect. If I am writing an email to a peer that, especially when I have a comfortable relationship with, I'm not going to worry if I miss a punctuation mark.
Right.
And figuring out where that balance is. But it's also about recognizing and being honest with ourselves about where these saboteurs, as us coaches call them, manifest.
Mm-hmm.
One of the big ones that I see show up for a lot of people, and I'd love to say this has only been my clients and not me. It's absolutely been me, Bruce. It absolutely has, is controlling. It's having an idea of how things are going to work and wanting that way to be how it works, no matter what.
Right.
So, for example, if there's a problem and there are 20 different ways to get to the solution, I have my heart set on one way. And if somebody does something any other way, part of me is just like, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
And my partner and I do this to each other all the time. You're scrambling the eggs wrong. You changed the channel wrong. You're getting the dog wrong. Like, the dog doesn't care. It's actually us, and being able to recognize for ourselves and point out to the other one, like, hey, the dog doesn't mind however I pet him. I know you have expectations for him, but those are yours for you to work with, and you can leave me out of them.
Yeah.
Having someone compassionately call out when we're expecting people to do our bidding and live what's going on in our heads when we're all different people is another great way to deal with these unintentional saboteurs. When we can see them and be like, oh, you're right. You can scramble eggs any way you want. It's all going to work out in the end. I'm going to go have a glass of water and just work through my issue here.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a maturity issue as well. I think the more aware you are that you might do that, I do that. I try to be more outcome orientated. So in other words, here's what the outcome is, or here's what we agree the outcome should be. And then you got to be able to stand back or sit back or just get out of somebody's way to allow them to figure out how to get to that outcome, which is what you've agreed anyway. And that's a maturing process. And I slip back into the over control, particularly when I'm under pressure. And I think I've seen a lot of other, I don't know if it's a gender thing, but I've seen a lot of other guys do that. A lot of guys tend to flip more into control when they're under pressure. So being able to breathe and relax and look at how, people that are pretty laid back but are very goal and objective orientated, getting it done is still about getting it done. And like you said, it doesn't really matter how you get there as long as you agree the outcomes, and it's not poor quality, and nobody's going to get hurt along the way. Those are the main things. Safety first, right? Is it going to harm you? Is it going to harm me? If not, then just let it go and agree upon what the outcome needs to be. So
yeah, and when I've done business work or organizational work with leaders who have that control, that micromanagement, they just can't let go of the process. There's two different approaches that I take. One of them is saying, when you're controlling everything, you're actually taking learning opportunities away from others. You're disempowering people. They can't learn anything new if you just insist they follow one process that you're making they may not like. And the other one is to...
Excuse me a minute.
Absolutely.
You ready to go?
Here's your network, your password.
Okay.
And it's on the bottom of the modem if we need it.
Okay.
TV's working.
All right. Thanks.
So your internet's good.
Okay.
That's your network.
All right. Thank you.
No problem.
Real live action. Thank you.
Yeah, LinkedIn literally live.
Please give me a call.
Sure. Can you leave your number?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Because so the Cox guy has been, what was your name?
Matt.
Matt. So Matt from Cox.
Thank you, Matt.
Shout out to Cox Communications here in Tempe, Arizona. He's been patiently, diligently talk about working the solution to the outcome, which is he knew I had a live and he knows I'm traveling. So he wanted to make sure he got me hooked up with internet before he left today. So thanks, Matt.
Yes, sir. And if you have any issues when you get your new TV, pairing a remote or anything, please give me a call.
I will. Yeah. All right. Cool. So he'll come back. How about that? Good. Big shout out live on LinkedIn to Cox,
have a great day.
Cox Communications. Woo!
Thank you.
Well, and that's a heart of service. That's seeing someone again, and you can honestly, just by what he did there, you can see his core values of what I'm guessing are like service, job well done, connection, patience, grace, like everything that he's been doing with you is manifesting how we live our lives. Gracie's like, hey, tech guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, most tech guys are not real communicative. So he was pretty communicative. He kept me posted every challenge he was having, and he pretty much has been through every single piece of the setup here. He's been here 2 hours, so good job done. And hey, look, he even left me his cell phone. I won't.
Well,
so,
and yeah, and it's like, again, this is coming into like what's live, what manifests for us. And this is something that Bruce, you and I talked about before we went live here, is when do we delegate out? When do we bring other people in? How do we move past that self-sabotage of controlling everything and say, all right, it's time to let it go and let someone else work it. When you look at someone who has that controller saboteur, the superpowers, like the values that are being overused, are often powers of action. They're driven, they're analytical, they're organized. So these are all really good strengths. How do we let go of that and step back and say, I can't do this on my own, or it's not worth my time or effort? It actually makes more sense to bring someone in who specializes and to save my energy for where it's most useful and most needed.
Yeah. And it's back to, back to commitment, because I've had people say to me, well, why didn't you just not do your live? And it's like, it doesn't matter. I've made a commitment to, I've had some fabulous guests. Here's my 102nd live since I've been live streaming on LinkedIn. And, it would be disingenuous for me to just at last minute say, oh, we can't do live because I'm stuck in an Uber, or, oh, we can't do live because, the Cox communication guy is still here. And that would be easy for me to make that excuse, but that's an excuse. For me, it's about, I lead a commitment using the LinkedIn Live tool. It's a gracious gift, and I don't take it for granted, and I don't try and misuse it or abuse it. And so you gotta do what you think is right, come what may. And it's like real life. Right. He got here a little early, which was awesome, and I thought he'd be done. He had massive challenges, step by step. Every single step didn't work, and he hung with it, and kudos to them. So when I look at adding potentially additional services, where am I going to go? He knows I'm going to go back to Cox Communications as my first choice to look, right? So.
Right. And Gracie just mentioned in the chat, no excuse allowed. So that integrity that you were describing, that commitment and that integrity, that makes you who you are. That's why the community resonates with you. That's why we resonate with each other. Integrity is one of my huge values too.
Yeah.
And I love how you live that. When we choose, so gosh, I don't remember who said this. If anyone knows this, please feel free to put it out there. Integrity is making the hard choice. It's making the tough choice, even if no one is there to see it. Right. So if you had bumped out this LinkedIn Live, a couple people would have known, it would have been visible. But honestly, even if there was no audience for it, I know you still would have done this if it was just the two of us, because that's who you are. That's how you roll. Yeah.
Actually, I think that was a Henry Ford quote from a long, long time ago. I believe so. But I could be off base. I don't know. I think it's a Henry Ford quote. But I'm not a great historian, not one of my strengths.
Not mine either. Yeah, and Kenny chimed in, no excuses, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Savor the flavor, all your awesomeness. Gracie, integrity is so valuable. It is. So I would actually love to hear from whoever's watching right now, what are some of your big values? What are some things that are really, really important to you? Because I'm willing to bet you don't always celebrate them about yourself, but it's worth celebrating about you. So
Right.
a little chance to toot your horn here. Just drop them in the chat if you want to, and we will celebrate your values and what's important to you as well as what's important to us.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe to facilitate that, and while we'll come back to learning what's next on your agenda, is that what I find that people don't always celebrate is showing up, right? And just showing up and being consistent, they think it's normal. It's actually not normal, what I found. There's a lot of inconsistencies out there, and there's a lot of non-consistencies out there. So for people that do show up and also attempt to get, better and better at what they do, little by little, that's the real key to me is, can you learn from, like Matt, the technician, can I learn from him? Yeah, absolutely. That he was patient, diligent. He stuck with it. He could have given up an hour ago and said, you know what, I need to bring some other equipment back, or whatever it was he did to fix it. He just quietly and calmly hung there, and he's been working on it. And what a great guy, so.
Oh, I just saw Kenny chime in the chat with some of his big values. I love this. Bruce, do you want to read it or do you want me to read it?
Yeah, you do it, please.
Okay. So we're all going to take a minute and celebrate Kenny here. He said wisdom, kindness, goodness, patience, encouragement, empathy, understanding, sincerity, perseverance, knowledge, honesty. We're still going. Love, hope, courage, tenacity, caring, positivity, compassion, passion, and inspiration. That is a heck of a list. That is a heck of a list.
Good job, Kenneth. I love him. He's been a big supporter for myself and countless other people on LinkedIn. And one day I'll get to meet you in person, Kenny. So watch out, my friend. I'll be down near Sugarland to buy you a cup of coffee or something one day. So.
Well, and Kenneth, I love how you see this about yourself, because like I said, we don't always see what our big values are. We don't always acknowledge them because we spend so much time with them. But Bruce, would you say that Kenny lives those values, that he walks his talk there?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I've known him for 30 minutes and he freaking does this. This is amazing.
Well, I would add one other word: consistency. I think Kenny is super consistent in everything that he does and says, and people get used to that in a good way. It's to be, as he says, savor the flavor. It's all about savoring the flavor and doing it in a good way. So absolutely, good job, Kenny.
Yeah.
All right, so go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and it's about being ourselves so hard that the people that resonate with our values and who we are, he's like, of course I do. Yeah. It's about being yourself so hard that the people that resonate with those same values are drawn to you, right? When you live your integrity, when you live who you are, when you're authentic, other people resonate with the authentic you, and that's how we get these great business relationships. That's how we connect with people. You were saying, Bruce the Brit.
I used to be called Bruce the Brit, no problem. Or BB. BB's another nickname I have. So people that have known me from way back still call me BB, and that's okay. I love it. So so tell us a couple of things about what you're up to, because I actually do have dinner plans with Tisha Maria Pelletier, and actually her daughter. I'm going to meet Ellie for the first time. And actually, Tisha Marie Pelletier's mom is coming. So we're going to go celebrate me moving into this little rental home here in Tempe, Arizona. So So I can't wait, and I'm actually going to take an Uber so I can have a glass of wine. How about that? So
that's awesome. Well, yeah, we'll get wrapped up so you can go meet Tisha. I have had a virtual coffee with her. She's absolutely wonderful. I'm super excited that you're going to meet her and have dinner with her.
Oh yeah, she's well, Tisha Maria Pelletier actually helped me find this rental. So she's just recently got her real estate license here in Arizona, and she's still doing all the other things that she's doing, but she's so service orientated, and you know, that, I mean, real estate for her is, I'm sure it's going to be an amazing adventure, and it's going to be a great add-on to all the things that she does already. And she is just so helpful. She's just delightful. And you know, she was here earlier before we even went live streaming, actually moving some boxes for me. So her and her son. So it was amazing.
Yeah, fantastic woman, fantastic energy, just all around amazing. And Max said, love that, Jacy. Be who you are, so hard. So just real.
Say that again. Be
who you are, so hard. Just be yourself as hard as you can. And that's something else that Tisha Marie does. She is just so authentically, so clearly herself, so lives her values. Absolutely.
Yeah, she's authentic with a touch of badass. She is all over it. And but she's got a compassionate side too. So yeah, it's I'm looking forward to doing more and more collaboration with her, other than, you know, helping me move boxes into this rental home, which has been, because it's like 112 degrees here today, so it's super hot. So.
Can't even imagine.
Yeah, it's been brutally hot this week. Okay, so what's the best way for people to reach out to you? And you know, what is the one thing you're working on towards the end of the successful year here for you?
You know, my favorite thing that I've been working on is Positive Intelligence. Actually has a 6-week group coaching program. And this 6-week program helps people develop new habits. So it actually is neuroscience based. And when we have these old habits, like if you think of a habit as a bobsled run, that's what a neural pathway is like. That energy just runs down this neural pathway. When you have a habit you want to break, you need to stop halfway down that bobsled run and start building a new one. And that's why new habit formation is so hard. So this program is 6-week long, and it has daily practices to help people build the new habits and stop that self-sabotage and build new positive ways to move forward. If anyone is interested in that, they can go to the website pq4u.com. That's letter P, letter Q, FORYOU.com. And that'll take you to my website that talks more about that PQ program, positive intelligence in general. Or honestly, if someone wants to find me, just go to 𝑖melkcowsonskis.com, because that's how I tell people to remember it. Like, if you want my name, just think 𝑖melkcowsonskis. That'll get you close enough.
Right.
And anyone can find me there. I also encourage anyone to connect with me on LinkedIn. I love having a LinkedIn community. I just recently got over 3,000 connections. Super excited about that.
Yeah.
And that's really where I'm at and what I'm doing. I'm coaching, helping people live their best lives and just living the dream. It's just so good to talk to you.
Are you on TikTok yet?
I'm not. I've had several people tell me it's the place to be, though, so I might be taking a little peek at it.
I just got to the point where I'm going to be able to start live streaming on TikTok. So I'm looking forward to figuring out how to do that. And I think I'm actually going to do my fast tips, because it's you can only get up to 3 minutes of video on there at any one point in time. And I'm not sure how the live stream thing works, but I'm at the point where I have enough followers now to do that. And so I'm going to be experimenting with that. I'll be reaching out to some big TikTokers that I already know that are very successful doing that. And we'll see where we go. You know, you never know. Simpler, faster, better might take on a new pathway, and we'll see where it leads. But you just got to be open-minded and be willing to learn, and be willing to not let your age prejudice you into not doing what you want to do, right? So
yeah, keep honoring yourself, keep living your values, and Bruce, as always, reach out to me if there's anything I can do to help support you too. Getting to know you has been a joy. This has been a great conversation, and I really appreciate you having me on as a guest.
All right, you're welcome. So yeah, reach out to Jacy, and yeah, you know, if you're seeing this as a replay, you can put #replay and still ask questions after the live. Yes, I will. It will go up on the feature section of my page here tonight. I may not do it before I go to dinner, but I may do it later. It may go better later after, you know, a glass of something.
Go to dinner. You've earned it after moving in 112-degree weather. You've earned the dinner. You can put it up later.
All right. Okay. Well, if you'd like to hang, thanks everybody. Thanks to all the loyal supporters and engagers. And I'm glad that Mac was on. I'll talk to you about how you cannot be a LinkedIn user, Mac. So there's a little setting way down in your profile that you have to change that took me forever to find when I was on live. So I always used to show up as LinkedIn user. So, all right. So hang for a minute, Jacy. Thanks everybody.
Have a great night, everyone. Thank you for being here.
Fabulous Friday.